unbelievable job.
Is there anything that happened tonight that affects QB1 and QB2?
Well, I don't see it that way, no.
Dead. If the media thinks Shedeur can't play, he's a 5th-round pick with no upside, then why does he lead every single topic in conversation?
Two things just happened that tell you everything about where Shedeur Sanders really stands in Cleveland. First, Dillon Gabriel went out and balled in the final preseason game. 3 total touchdowns, a near-perfect night. The kind of performance that usually shakes up a depth chart. And reporters immediately asked Todd Monken the obvious question.
Does this change anything for Shedeur or Deshaun? Monken's answer was instant and ice-cold. No, it changes nothing. Those spots are set. In other words, Monken just quietly protected Shedeur's place on this team and left Dillon Gabriel as the odd man out, with a trade now looming. And second, at the exact same time, the Cleveland media is tying itself in knots because it cannot stop talking about Shedeur Sanders, even though he is officially the backup. One analyst called them out for it directly, with a viral tweet that lit the internet on fire. So how is a backup quarterback protected by his coach and dominating every headline at the same time? And what does the looming Gabriel trade tell us about how the Browns really see Shedeur? Let's break down both sides of this from 2 different sources. Here is everything.
Man, does a year make, right? Dillon Gabriel find himself in the same position that Shedeur Sanders was in this time last year. He took advantage of the opportunity, 12 of 15, 186, 3 total TDs, but he's just fighting to make the team. No one felt sorry for Shedeur Sanders. I don't feel sorry for Dillon Gabriel. I wish him the best. I just said he had a very good game, but this doesn't change anything as far as the roster positions at quarterback as far as Shedeur Sanders. Todd Monken just set the record straight about that, along with how he felt as far as Dillon Gabriel's performance. Dillon Gabriel said it's been frustrating or challenging as far as not getting the reps that he once got this time last year.
Really well in the first halves, and it doesn't matter who's out there. When you represent yourself with the name on your back or the Browns helmet, we expect that we play our rear ends off, and the expectation of the position and the expectation of the team. And I think we got that in the second half today. Defense shut them out. Didn't play as clean offensively, but we were backed up a couple of times and didn't take advantage of a couple turnovers, but just proud of our guys.
Look at the setup here, because it is loaded with meaning. Dillon Gabriel just did exactly what Shedeur Sanders did last preseason. He took his opportunity and shined. 12 of 15 passing, 186 yards, 3 total touchdowns. That is a genuinely great night. And a year ago, that kind of performance is what put Shedeur on the map. So you would think it might do the same for Gabriel, that it might push him up the depth charts or into the quarterback conversation. But watch how the host framed it and how Monken confirmed it. This does not change anything about the roster positions at quarterback. Nothing.
Gabriel played great, and it still does not move him ahead of Shedeur or Deshaun. Think about what that tells you. For Gabriel, a spectacular game earns him praise, but no movement. For Shedeur, his spot is simply secure, protected, not up for debate. That is the difference between a guy the organization is committed to and a guy fighting just to make the roster. Monken respecting Gabriel's effort while making it clear it changes nothing is the first sign of how firmly Shedeur's place on this team is locked in.
Well, that's great for him. I mean, I know it's been hard. I mean, let's be real about it, you know. He's a prideful guy. He's had a lot of success in his career, and all he does is prepare. That's all he does. Come to work every day, prepares like a pro. You can see he can really operate. I mean, he gets it. He gets what we want to do. He has a certain confidence about him when he takes the field. And I'm fired up. We had a chance to meet a little bit before the game and talk about the things he wanted to get called, what he felt comfortable with. It's like having a coach. You know, he's easy to kind of explain, like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Like I always say, we don't need more plays. We need plays that you feel really comfortable with. So, really happy for him.
What about Taylor in his first time out there?
I told you, somewhere there was going to be a 20-yard play. I didn't know how. I didn't expect to be backed up, almost get a safety. That's what he is, just a tremendous athlete, that highly intelligent, you know. I mean, you saw it. I mean, there's a lot to work with there. We just got to refine it. I'm happy for him that he got a chance to play. He doesn't get a ton of reps. Just doesn't. So it's not all his fault. He can't rep everybody. It's just the way it goes.
How do you feel like these are two guys that you hope to be able to somehow keep on the 53 and work with and develop?
Sure. We got a lot of, that's why we played both of them, right? That's why we played them, to try and help us a little bit in terms of where we're at from a roster standpoint. So we got a lot to talk about, because I thought they both did some really good things. I really think the way they played was how I thought they'd play, right? Dylan really within himself, very poised. And then Talon was going to have some splash plays, some plays where you get him on the perimeter and use his athleticism as you keep working to refine his throwing ability, not throwing, but his passing, right? So again, it was fun to watch him play, but just like every position, you know, we're going to have to cut it down. That's just, we can't keep everybody.
Now here is where the Gabriel trade starts to loom, and it is right there in Monken's own words. Listen to how he talks about Dillon Gabriel. He praises him to the sky. He calls him prideful, says all he does is prepare, that he operates like a pro, that having him out there is like having a coach on the field. That is high praise, but praise is not the same as a roster spot, because in the very same breath, Monken said the words that should worry the Gabriel camp. We are going to have to cut it down. We can't keep everybody. So connect the dots. Monken loves what Gabriel brings, but the Browns cannot carry 4 quarterbacks. Watson is the starter. Shedeur is protected for the future. Talon Green is the intriguing young athlete they want to develop and can stash. That leaves Dillon Gabriel, a good quarterback who played well, as the one who does not fit. And a quarterback that talented, who a coach praises this openly, is not someone you just cut. He is someone you trade. That is why the Gabriel trade talk is heating up. Monken basically explained the math himself.
Unbelievable job.
Is there anything that happened tonight that affects QB1 and QB2?
Oh, I don't see it that way, no.
Todd, can you see a world where you keep all 4 quarterbacks?
I'm not going to get into.
So you guys just heard Todd Monken clearly states that performance from Dillon Gabriel does nothing to Shedeur or Deshaun Watson. Those are his guys when it comes to that. So go ahead and trade Dillon Gabriel. Get him up out of Ohio and maybe put Talon Green on the practice squad. But be very careful, because that kid definitely have athletic abilities. You guys get down in the comments and let me know, how do you guys feel about this video? Really wasn't intentionally trying to cover it, because I'm only here for Shedeur, but I know a lot of you probably wanted to know how these guys performed and what's the latest, because now that Dillon Gabriel played very well, there's media outlets out there that's trying to say this impacts Shedeur Sanders.
And there it is, in the clearest possible terms. A reporter asked Monken point blank if anything that happened that night, meaning Gabriel's big game, affects QB1 and QB2. Monken did not hesitate. He said, "I don't see it that way. No." That single word, no, is Monken protecting the pecking order. Watson stays QB1, Shedeur stays QB2. Gabriel's performance, as good as it was, does not crack that. And notice he would not even commit to keeping 4 quarterbacks, saying he and Andrew Berry had not talked about it yet. That is a coach leaving the door wide open to move on from someone. And that someone is clearly Gabriel. The host said out loud what Monken implied. Those are his guys, meaning Watson and Shedeur. So trade Gabriel and maybe stash Talon Green on the practice squad. But here is the most important line for Shedeur fans. The host pointed out that some media outlets are trying to spin Gabriel's game as bad news for Shedeur, as if it threatens his spot. And both Monken and the host shut that down completely. It does not. Shedeur's place is safe. That is not a threat. That is protection.
Yeah, G set the internet on storm yesterday. He had a 3-tweet thread in the span of 6 minutes that generated over 100,000 impressions and over 2,500 likes. We're going to read these tweets and then kind of dive into them. G tweeted out, "In order, this has to be said. If the media thinks Shedeur can't play, he's a 5th-round pick with no upside, then why does he lead every single topic in conversation? Watson is a starter. Get in your analyst bag and start talking about what needs to do week 1 against the Jags, #Browns. Next, Shedeur is good for business. I do Shedeur content because I think he can be the long-term answer. Others use his name for engagement. If he's just a backup quarterback with a famous last name, why is he your leading topic? Let's make a bet. No local media can go a week without mentioning him. And lastly, media acting like they're so burdened with the weight of having to talk about an irrelevant 5th-round pick. Okay, let me free up your schedule a bit. Just talk Guardians, Cavs, or high school football Friday Night Lights for 2 to 3 hours. Exactly. Good luck.
This is the tweet thread that set the whole Cleveland media world on fire, and it exposes their biggest contradiction. G. Bush laid a perfect trap. The media keeps saying Shedeur Sanders is nothing special, a 5th-round pick, no upside, just a backup with a famous last name. Fine, Bush said. If that is true, then explain something. Why does this irrelevant backup lead every single topic, every single day? Why is he your #1 subject if he does not matter? You cannot have it both ways. You cannot call a man irrelevant and then build your entire show around him. And Bush drove the knife in with the challenge nobody in the media could accept. Go ahead, he said. Free up your schedule. Spend 2 or 3 hours talking about the Guardians, the Cavs, or high school football instead. Good luck with that, because they cannot. They know that Shedeur content is what draws the audience. He is, in Bush's words, good for business. So the media is stuck. They resent having to cover Shedeur. They insist he does not deserve it, and yet they physically cannot stop because he is the biggest draw in Cleveland sports. That contradiction is the whole story.
Usually, generally speaking, we say we want our backup quarterbacks to be seen, not heard, and we want to talk about the people that are on the field, and the backup should not be a distraction. So my thought process is, Todd Monken said it, went and talked to him, and he said, oh, he had a smile on his face. I had another tweet in there and said, he's concentrating on helping the team, being a good backup, and supporting Deshaun Watson. So, he's working on his game, and when he gets on the field, let's talk about it. My thing is, we go about the situation and say he's too famous, right? He's a distraction. He's doing these things, but yet and still, kind of like last year, when Dylan was the starting quarterback, they went to Shedeur every single day and said, hey, what do you think about Dylan? What do you think about Stefanski? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And so that media attention then feeds into the thing that you say you don't want. If we want the starting quarterback to have the runway and to talk about the people on the field, fine, let's just do that.
And here is the part that completely flips the distraction narrative on its head. The media loves to say a backup quarterback should be seen and not heard, that Shedeur is a distraction just by existing. But Bush pointed out the truth. Shedeur is not making himself a distraction. The media is. Think back to last year when Dillon Gabriel was the starter. Bush noted that reporters went to Shedeur every single day and asked him what he thought about Gabriel, what he thought about the coaching, what he thought about everything. Shedeur was not out there volunteering opinions or stirring the pot. He was doing his job as a backup, keeping his head down, working on his game. But the media kept sticking a microphone in his face and then turned around and blamed him for being a distraction. That is the con. They manufacture the attention, then complain about the attention they manufactured. And Monken confirmed the real Shedeur, saying he talked to him, that he had a smile on his face, that he is focused on helping the team and supporting Deshaun Watson. That is not a distraction. That is a professional. The distraction, if there is one, is entirely media-made. And this is where even the media had to surrender to the truth. They admitted it themselves. Shedeur Sanders is the most popular quarterback the Browns have had since the franchise came back in 1999. Think about that. Not the most popular backup, the most popular quarterback, period. And he is the backup. That alone tells you the star power is real and undeniable. And then they conceded the two things that matter most for Shedeur fans. First, none of them are going to stop talking about him because he is that big a story whether he is QB1 or QB2. And second, and this is the key, he is going to play this year. They said it flat out. The Browns have started 43 different quarterbacks since 1999, and 4 or more in each of the last 3 seasons.
Deshaun Watson's health and play will not hold up. So the moment Watson struggles, and everyone expects him to, the calls for Shedeur will be deafening, and he will get his shot. The media even admitted that if Watson stinks, it is on Watson, not on Shedeur. So the backup everyone claims is irrelevant is the most popular player on the team, and he is coming.
Taken on a life of its own. I think we don't need to hear from Shedeur for a little while. Shedeur needs to focus on Shedeur, like I know he is. We can focus on Deshaun, but I will say, most popular quarterback on the Browns since they came back in '99 is the backup quarterback. And the second Deshaun doesn't start playing well, people are going to start asking, when's Shedeur going to play? When's Shedeur going to play? That's the nature of the beast, but I think we just need to all collectively...
And ultimately, none of us in the media are going to stop talking about him.
There you go. And the thesis is, I won the bet. I told you. I guarantee you. Go into your producer and say, I want to talk high school football right now tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go McKinley.
No, but the reality is,
We're
Trust
going
me,
to talk about it.
I'd rather talk about the Guardians for 2 hours, but
we know what the
we're going to
stimulus
break
is.
in one sec. But no, the reality is the Browns have started 43 quarterbacks since '99, and they've started 4+ quarterbacks each of the last 3 seasons. He's going to play this year.
Yeah, it's a
If
storyline.
he's going to play,
yeah.
he is a story.
And-
Shedeur Sanders, whether he's QB1 or QB2, is a story for the Cleveland Browns.
And if Deshaun Watson stinks, it's because of Deshaun Watson, not because of
Yeah.
talk about you.
There we go.
So let's put both sides together because the full picture is crystal clear. On one side, Todd Monken is quietly protecting Shedeur Sanders. Dillon Gabriel played a fantastic final preseason game, and Monken praised him, but confirmed it changes nothing. Watson is QB1, Shedeur is QB2. Those spots are locked, and Gabriel is the odd man out with a trade now looming because the Browns simply cannot keep everybody. That is an organization telling you, through its actions, that Shedeur is part of the plan and Gabriel is not.
On the other side, the Cleveland media cannot stop talking about Shedeur, even as they insist he does not matter. They call him an irrelevant backup, then make him their #1 topic every single day because he's good for business and the most popular Browns quarterback since 1999. And they admitted the truth in the end. He is going to play this year. When Watson struggles, and history says he will, Shedeur is next in line, protected, ready, and more popular than anyone on the roster. The backup they cannot stop talking about is the future they cannot avoid. So tell me, how many weeks until Shedeur takes the field? Drop your answer in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe.